that since the government in 1962 panicked into passing the Immigration Act owing to the bad conditions of this country, and since I now say that everything in the garden is rosy, isn't it time the Immigration Act was repealed? And if not, why not? Now, it's just about the opposite of the truth. We didn't panic into passing the Immigration Act. We waited at least 7 years before we did so. And some people say we waited too long, although I wouldn't accept that as a criticism. Now, secondly, we didn't pass the Immigration Act because of the bad conditions in this country. We passed the Immigration Act because of the good conditions in this country. You don't pass an Immigration Act in a country which nobody wants to come to because things are so bad. Pass an Immigration Act because the country is so attractive that that more people try to crowd into it than can be easily accommodated. And the reason we don't repeal it is precisely because that is still the case. It is needed as much as ever for the same reasons. And we have no intention of repealing it, as far as I know. He will interrupt me if I'm wrong. What is Mr. Hogg going to do about the drain of the immigration of top-grade professors and scientists to other countries? Well, now, this is a question, too, which we must look at rather closely. As a matter of fact, this country is a net importer of talent of all kinds. We have, if you go round the universities of this country, people from Australia and India and Pakistan and Canada carrying out top-grade posts in this country. We also have a very large number of professors and top-grade scientists from Europe. I pointed out quite recently how many of them there were. The president of the Royal Society is an Australian. Rutherford was a New Zealander, and so on. So that you mustn't talk about the emigration of top-grade scientists from this country. This is not the net position at all. What there is an emigration into the United States of America. That is where it goes. And you'd far better call things by their proper name. There is a net emigration and a serious emigration into the United States of America. It is not limited to this country. I think that 25% of the immigrants into the United States of America who could qualify for this kind of classification come from Canada. 15% from Europe. 15% from this country, and I think the rest, if I've got it right, from the rest of the world. But this is the situation. Now, you cannot, in fact, unless you are going to interfere with the fundamental principle which I was talking about this evening, prevent people from emigrating abroad if they want to. They have, in fact, emigrated to the United States of America in a net stream for the last 350 years since Jamestown was founded in 1607. And incidentally, my own ancestors went there and fought against the British in the War of Independence. So that I'm on the whole rather glad that they weren't prevented from going there at that time. And they were very high-class people, I can assure you. Obviously, we can't welcome a net loss of scientists to a developed country. We do, of course, encourage people to go abroad to the Commonwealth, partly because we receive, as I say, a net import from the Commonwealth, and partly because we owe an obligation to the Commonwealth to man their newer universities and some of their schools and provide them with technical help. But we cannot welcome a net export to America because America is a very highly developed country. Scientists gain from going to America. There are many facilities nowadays which don't exist in any one country and which do exist on the continent of North America somewhere. And therefore you don't want to discourage them from going in order to take up temporary appointments or to gain new experience. This would be a very foolish thing to do. What we are trying to do, to put it in a sentence or two, is to make conditions here attractive to them to stay. To stay, that is, to make England their permanent, Britain their permanent home. And also we send out recruiting officers to the United States of America to try and recruit back those who have gone from abroad, gone abroad for a permanent job. Give you an example. Sir Gordon Sutherland, who is the head of the National Physics Laboratory here, is a Scotsman. He spent some years as professor at Michigan University, United States. He's now head of our National Physics Laboratory. The new Royal Society professor, which I was glad to provide the funds for 2 or 3 years ago, who's come over to Oxford, is another re-import. And we do, in fact, send people to the United States to recover our nationals who go there. So, as a matter of fact, do certain private firms. Certainly cables and SCT, cables and telegraphs, do this on a big scale. Certainly ITI do it on a big scale, and so do other people. But I think you must face the fact that the more scientists we get, and the better they are, the more they will be sought after, and the more people will try to recruit them. And some will in fact go. When I was in Vienna last weekend, they told me, and I thought it was a shocking fact, I remember, that no less than 3/4 of their graduates are lost to Germany within a few years of their graduation. Now, of course, we have nothing like that. We have a drain which we don't welcome. We have also an import which we do welcome, but whether we shouldn't welcome it, whether it's respectable to welcome it, is another question. Professor Abdus Salam, for instance, who discovered the omega-minus particle in Imperial College, is a Pakistani. You could go on enumerating them forever. But you really mustn't panic about this, and you really must come to the conclusion that the two things which can be done to make conditions here attractive and to try and recruit people back voluntarily are the two things we ought to be doing and are doing.